Alright boys and girls, and welcome back to another building video. This time I'm bringing you guys a bunkered filled base design to maximize your offline raid cost protection. These bunkers have been seamlessly integrated, allowing for a good base design with a good raid cost. Sometimes you have to choose between the two, but I'd like to think we've achieved both in this incredible house. This base design is ambitious for duos and trios, and an easy farming job for 4 to 6 players. It comes fully equipped with all the online raid ready protection that you may need: shield walls, compound exits, incredible turrets, some of the best for protected angles, an incredible shooting floor, and lots of hidden bedrooms throughout the base. Not to mention a nice cozy open core that sacrifices absolutely no raid cost whatsoever, keeping that open and cozy feel without having all your best loot easily available out in the open. Before we get into the video, we are so close to 90,000 subscribers, which means we're so close to 100,000. So if you guys haven't hit that subscribe button, please drop me a little sub, like the video, and comment something nice too. Twitch streams have been going incredible for those of you who have come through. Thank you so much. We've already managed to get partner on Twitch, which is an absolute speed run. So give the Twitch a little follow too, and let's get on with the tour. Alright, let's get touring on now with the base. So we're coming in with a 3x1 this time, looking for something a little bit more offline raid ready too, with some bunkers in there as well. So we got 2 roof bunkers that are nicely integrated into the design to get that offline raid cost nice and high. And then of course we got everything else you'll need: bunkered starter, little open core, nice shooting floor roof combination with a lot of extra features. So we got standard disconnect over here, and this is how we set things up. TC in here, disconnect on the right behind a garage door. And this is how our disconnect works. So if we pop the twig over here, it's going to break the disconnect. TC no longer overlaps, and you'll be able to replace TC inside the main base in case you want to move it to a secret spot, or you need to replace it after a raid. Then to reconnect, you need to add back the twig and then build back just like so. And that's our disconnect done. And we got one of these on one side of the base and another one on the opposite side. So 3 TCs in total, including main base, of course. Very quickly interrupting the tour to let you guys know there are now 32 bases on the Patreon, all for $5. That works out to 15 cents per base design. These bases vary in group size, design, offline to online ratio, and they also include a few box base designs that I use myself to test out on my wipe videos. The Patreon is definitely the best way to support the channel and to also get something in return. We've got multiple different tiers offering lots of different perks. If you'd like to go one step further, hop in the Discord and purchase yourself a completely customized base design down to your exact specifications. And of course, peep the Twitch streams for base reviews and live snowballs. Let's get back on into the tour. Our gatehouse is a very standard double single door airlock gatehouse with full 360-degree visibility, which is pretty nice, including looking back in towards the compound as well. And if you add a little small box here, then you can crouch peek on this and hopefully get some few kills off there. If anyone's in the compound that shouldn't be, we can then exit out, and it's a pretty standard looking compound here with a nice shield wall going all the way around. That's going to allow you to run up top here and just spam walls wherever you need all the way through. My barricade placement was a little bit dodgy, but you can run all the way along here, spamming walls to make sure that any high tall raid bases can't see too deep into compound. And of course you can do this to soak up rockets as well from oncoming raiders, to try and help the main base and important parts of the base survive a little bit longer so you can have fun in that online raid. Inside the compound we have 4 pretty nice turrets that are holding everything down pretty nice. This one's a little bit tucked away behind some chain link, a little bit stronger, and then this one here is a little bit more out in the open, but just giving that full coverage inside the compound. Then we have 4 sneaky compound exits, and the purpose of those is if there is a dead raider round about this direction near the high walls, maybe they've broken this high wall, breached in and died to shooting floor. If you were to loot that body, you need to run all the way out and round, which is not going to happen with a fob over here. So we have a couple of sneaky exits here that allow you to basically just come in and out of the compound nice and fast. And of course they come with a quick seal window option to make sure no raiders take this path against you. You can come out here, replace your high wall, loot any bodies inside, and then head straight back in there. And just in case anyone tries to use that against you, you'll have a Patrico here to make sure they don't run in the door, and you can spam windows on here as well, as much as you need in case raiders are blowing through that path. And final option as well is just to full grief this off too if it really is looking like a weak spot. But you've got 4 of these on every end of the compound, so it's going to let you get out towards your large furnace 2 before industrial is set up. And of course that nice beneficial feature of looting any bodies inside your compound. Wrapping around the rest of the base here, we just have a simple setup with the turrets here. You can throw a refinery in this square here. I just have a ramp. You can set this up with whatever you need. This is where our front door is, and we do have two ways into the base. One of them is just a chute, and one of them is going to take us to our core. No idea where we are right now. We're about to find out. So jumping up from this particular chute, it's actually going to take us into our core. Pretty nice. The chute continues up as well, of course, which is great. Heading in here is going to take us into our 3x1. Now, we've actually split our 3x1 into two kind of sections here. It's going to be great for mobility. It's going to be great for progression. Makes the base a little bit cheaper early game to get things up and running. I've just set this up as a bit of a mixing table floor, and then we get a double single door airlock as we wrap through to our stair bunker and down into our core. So the stair bunker, of course, that doesn't work on console, but the other two roof bunkers in the base that provide the majority of the strength for this build do work on console. So please do not be off-put by a stair bunker. It's just nice to have if you are on the PC. Single door airlock is going to take us into our main 3x1 core here, and it's a really nice starter base that you can fill up with a lot of loot, lots of storage, and it's nice and strong too, and it's not too bad to throw down right in the beginning as well. We start from a square, expanding out, we get an airlock, it all sets up pretty nicely. Inside the core though, I've just got a load of boxes, beds for the team, probably fit some more beds in here too, and a window looping as well for a bit of strength. And then this is the stair bunker, and in case you need that explained, the stair sits on the twig, and then breaking the twig opens up the drop down just like this, and then it's simple to just build back just like so. And of course you want to leave this twig. It's not letting me downgrade though right now. But that covers our starter base. We're going to go back into the mobility chute now and check that out. On the opposite end of the base, you'll remember we had another entrance, and that is actually going to take us to an early game bedroom. So I've just set this up with a couple of beds, and we get a locker back here as well, which is pretty nice too. That's a symmetry bug. There's no staircase there. So that's how that sets up. Pretty good, pretty clean. A couple of beds early game, which is super nice to have. And they can drop straight outside from here, or they can head on up to the next floor. This is going to be the floor where our two kind of chutes meet, which is pretty nice as well. We can pop this garage door off, and that's going to take us into our OPENCORE. OPENCORE is looking pretty nice. We've set it up with lots of boxes to get a couple boxes underneath. Two main loot rooms in the center here, which are nice and easy to access. Workbench over here with some batteries nearby as well. And all of this is more than 2 walls to core as well, which is pretty good. We get a vault core loot room in the middle here, so this is your safest loot room. Recommend throwing the boom, the sulfur in there. And a couple more boxes underneath too. And of course this lines back up with our starter base. Then on either side we can also access our bunkers. It's important to have the bunker loot close to the OPENCORE loot. So we come in from here and we can drop down into our roof bunker section as well. So in here you get 4 boxes of bunkered loot. You can throw a barrel in here to crawl in and out of to make things a little bit easier. And this is how I set things up so that there's no gaps. I wouldn't worry about the soft side. You can swap that out if you would like, but I don't think anyone's going to soft side it, and if they do, they deserve the loot in my opinion. But that's how the bunker opens and closes, just with a twig roof. Right now it's not letting me use twig, but you get the idea. Opens and closes, nice and simple, and you can throw a shotgun trap or a flame trap down here to make sure nobody with TC can get anywhere near this bunker. But that's how everything sets up for now, nice and easy, and we do get 2 of those bunkers as well, which is so clean. It's a nice little open core here, and bunkers nearby on either end of the base. 4 boxes of bunkered storage on either side, which is so good. And the bunkers are also 2 walls from core as well. Next, we can jump up to our shooting floor level, and of course both mobility chutes continue up from here. As we take the jump ups over, we do get a one-way into our shooting floor to make sure nobody's in there that shouldn't be. And of course that's on both sides of the build. Around the front here is going to be a bunch of angles for us to use, and for some reason my sofa was gone, but this is how we're going to be utilizing most of these angles. So they look down towards our external TC and around the rest of the base. You can line this up with some more boxes so you can use these angles a little bit better. The crypt skin is also super tight, so you can open this up a little bit more if you need, but this is how everything sets up. Great angles on either side of the base. And then our roof exit and our downward exit are right next to each other, which is clean too. So we can continue up from there, or we can head through into a bit of a double single door airlock. Again, symmetry bug there, it's all good. So wrapping around here is going to give us the same angles as we go through. And then we have our downwards on this kind of long corridor section. And this corridor could be really cool to play off of, kind of like a chase box vibe here if you do get a fight going on in this section. For those of you who like to face check, this could be a very nice walkway to do so. And of course we have one ways holding the majority of this corridor too. So broken. At either end of the corridor we do have kind of bedroom towers as well, giving us some downward angles onto these sides of the base here. Slightly more covered, looking round behind this shield wall and on either side as well, which is pretty good as too. And it's on either side of the base as well, with one a little bit more covered in the middle too, giving us great downward angles, and then some good Patricos looking to the left and right of our bedroom tower here. And this is a good respawn option as well, and you can throw a cabinet in there or some boxes around the front to spawn off of. Then we have two ways up to our roof, and again we just one way onto roof, so it's not the most roof coverage, but it's enough to get the job done. So we can one way on here and get a rough idea if anyone is up there that shouldn't be, and then you can play off your doors as well, and a little window for visibility too. Single door airlock to take us out, and you can see we have two turrets covering the roof. They're a little bit more open plan. They're covering the majority of the roof, but they're a little bit weaker to take down from attack helis. And then above the bedroom you get two more turrets that are kind of tucked away here, and these are a lot stronger and they're going to hang around a lot longer too, which is pretty nice. Very hard for MLRS and attack heli to take those down. From these bedrooms you get a little bit more visibility here, a respawn option with a locker, and then a big Patrico down the center where we could expect to see some players moving around. So overall, nice angle there to utilize. In the middle here you should be able to fit a couple of minicopters, which is pretty clean. Maybe a scrap heli and attack heli if you are pretty good at flying. And then we get two more Patricos on either side as well for good downward tight angles. And that pretty much covers the roof. A couple of outward roof ramps here to just keep things a little bit safer from taller raid bases. Oh, and I almost forgot to mention that we do have two reverse waterfalls that take us just straight up and down from compound to roof. They don't come with any retake abilities. They are super basic. Nothing crazy going on here. Just a simple way up and down from compound to roof. Nice and easy to use, which is pretty clean. And hopefully the team will get some usage out of that later on in wipes. But overall, that wraps up the base design. Hopefully this is everything you need for a wipe, and you boys and girls are pretty impressed with this one. If you are, I'm going to go ahead and break down the total build cost. First of all, on screen is the total build cost, second up is our build cost in box amounts, and lastly is the total upkeep that's spread between 3 TCs, and the main TC is holding the majority of that upkeep. Now we're going to go ahead and learn how to build this one, so let's get on to that. Before we get started on the tutorial, keep in mind that the Builder's Sanctuary code is in the Discord, so you can use that to load in the base, and you can check it out for yourself on Builder's Sanctuary. But to get this house down, we're going to start with a 1x1 with a double half wall on the left side. That's for the stair bunkers, so if you're on console, you can leave that out. DC is going to go in the back right hand side corner, just like so, and then we can build the full 3x1 coming out like this. In order to seal everything in, you can do a single door on the left, double door on the right, and a double door here as well, wrapping this all in. On the double door side, we can turn that into a loot room, wrapping 3 triangles around, and sealing it in for the bare minimum cost like this. And then I had it set up with a little window loot room in the turret. Over here, we can do a single door airlock, coming out to the right hand side, and wrapping up over and through with either a roof ramp. If you don't have Adobe or shipping, then you're not going to be able to do this. You want to be able to place this triangle, so you can swap this out with a furnace if you'd like, or maybe a shelf. But if you have the DLCs, then that works too. Then you just seal it up as we wrap around into a little single door drop down. And that's how this is set up. Very nice. And at this point, you're already ready to use the stair bunker too, which is great. In order to get up to this floor though, this is how we wrap up and over. So we come out with 2 triangles just like this, turn this one into straight honeycombing, and then this is going to be our way in. And again, if you don't like the staircase, or if you're on console, you can just swap this out with a furnace or a shelf, anything that allows you to jump up nice and easy. So that sets up. And then we raise it up again, jumping up in the same triangle, wrapping through with a single door. And we can wall this in from the outside, and we include the center square over here. Remember, I had that set up with some mixing tables, or you can just have this double single door airlock, and whatever you want to put in there, maybe more boxes, whatever feels right at this stage in the build. And then we can wrap up and over one more time, and leave it open at the top, and we just seal that with a double door, and then nobody can deep from above. And you can play on your roof up here a little bit safer. And then we go ahead and do that on the opposite end. So on this side, you might remember we have an early game bedroom. It'll be good to get that down early game. So we come off with 2 triangles again, pretty much symmetrical as we did, wrapping through a staircase or a deployable of your choice to make this jump up, just like so. Wrapping through. This time we do a double door instead of a single. And you can wrap all the way through and include this triangle again. And we just set it up nicely for 2 beds nice and early game. And from here you can jump up to roof, or you can drop outside of the base. And we're going to seal it up exactly the same, leaving the triangle open and giving you a nice way to your roof. In the middle here, we still want to honeycomb some of this so it feels a little bit stronger, but this is actually going to be a loot room later on. But we can add that in for now, just to up the strength a little bit so we have no weak spot on the base. So you can set that up as a little bit of a loot room, but for now it's just honeycomb, and that'll be where our bunker goes later on. But to get any bunkers going, we need to start getting more of the footprint down and start rushing towards some externals and compound. So I'm going to throw in two-sided symmetry here now, and that just means whatever I do on one end will happen to the other end, and that's going to save us some time. Of course, you guys will need to do things twice though, so just keep that in mind. Let's go ahead and start off on the two longer sides of the base so we can get our honeycomb down. If you come out with two squares, cap it with a triangle, and then you can break that first square. You can then add in triangles off of this square and break that one too, and then add in your honeycomb. Then from there it's nice and simple. That's going to be where our turret goes on the back here. Then around the rest of this side we're just going to set up for some chain link with a bit of a funnel. You can add that in just like this, and then we need to connect this over to main. So if you just float a triangle off of here and add a frame there, that'll join all of this section up, connect it to our main TC, and then we're set up on these two sides, looking nice and ready. And you can even throw the turret down as well if you want to rush ahead. I'm just going to finish off this whole module just so it's there, and then you can get a turret in this, and the chain link just goes in that far away slot like this, and we got some nice turrets holding down the base for us and keeps us safe while we're building too. Assuming you're on a snowball or something, you can get those down fast. To keep the footprint going, you can add in one more triangle over here, and that's on both sides. We are leaving this one out intentionally. That's going to be for our bunker, and we can go ahead and start building that now. So if you come to either side of the base, and we're going to start on this section here next to our gap, you can go ahead and come out with 7 squares. Now let's assume that you don't have the space to go out 7 squares. As you can see, 7 squares is rather a lot of space, especially back and forward. It's going to be quite hard to do. So just to give an example here, we can do a build out that adds up to 7. So for example, I'm going to come out with 3 squares. 1, 2, 3. Cap it off with a triangle and return back to the base. Then I'm going to do another 3 squares. 1, 2, 3. Return back to the base. As close as I can go, and then I'm going to do one more, add up to 7, and there we go. This is what we're looking for here, is that miniature gap right here. That's what we're looking for. So you know you've got your multi-TC gap set up just like this here. So as long as it adds up to 7 squares that you've gone out in total and returned back with triangles, then you're going to be good to go. We're going to turn this whole section into an absolute spam of triangles though, until we meet up towards this kind of gapped section. So you can wrap all the way around and through, just like this. And then in the middle, you can come out, creating this shape here. So it's a little bit confusing, but you just have a big row of triangles here that we're going to use to create our full shield wall and then our bunkers on our base. And this is what we're looking for, is that miniature gap down the middle here. And that's how you know you've done your multi-TC correctly. If the multi-TC build out is throwing you off, there's a good chance you've done it before, so don't get too panicky with it. If you got the space for 7 squares, just go out there. Or if you feel comfortable doing the math too, then go for that. Any questions, so of course, join the Discord and just ask me. And then we'll go ahead and connect this part to an external TC so that nothing is going to decay. So you're going to come out like this, wrapping round and through, just like that. So we're out with 2 squares. So we're out with 2 triangles, square into external. And then from here, you would float a frame off of your gatehouse, like so. You can break everything connecting. Then we can build our disconnect, just like this, making sure that's twig underneath. TC is going to go over here, and then you can garage door, single door, window, whatever you'd like to do to get back towards base. And you can just throw a TC in here and connect everything back up, just like so. And we'll double check our disconnect even works. Does indeed. Nice. And we can replace it all back. Everything's connected up. nothing is going to decay now. Next thing we can do to make ourselves feel a little bit safer in here is to get some high walls going. So I'm going to add this in around the front side, just to give ourselves a better guide. And then from there, it's going to be a 4 high wall seal on every gap, and there's 4 gaps, so that is 16 high walls. We do give the compound quite a wide area. It's going to leave space for large furnaces, and it's going to make life a little bit easier and allow you to claim a bit more territory within the base. So we're looking at this top half wall, and we're looking to kind of connect straight in with this, coming out in a bit of a straight line here, so we're not doing a bend. Then you can come to the opposite sides, and we're going to have this high wall kind of bending out the direction away from here. So you're going to have 2 high walls that meet in the middle like this, bending out the way. And then you just want to close up the gap with 2 high walls, keeping it decently neat. So that looks pretty good. And there we go. So you can see it's quite a wide compound here, but it's only 2 barricades to seal this, which is so nice. And you could use less high walls if you'd rather use more barricade, but this way you really don't need a lot of blades to seal up the compound or metal frags. And hopefully you live somewhere where there are plenty of trees, so that comes in handy. And the barricade placement is so easy, and that's you done. Beautiful. Compound is safe and sealed. And before we do anything else in compound, I think it would be a smart move to just get our bunkers up so we can use them now. So coming down to the bottom half of the base here, you're going to want to upgrade most of this stuff to metal. First floor of this, we don't do anything with. These 3 triangles coming off of the 3x1, so we can just actually wall that all in. And ideally, you want to have the soft side kind of facing in the way like this to create this bump. And as long as these walls are the same grade, there will always be a bump here to cover up any gaps or weak spots in the base. Then you can add the floors on top of all of this, and you'll get one more option to place this floor. You can see we got 2 slots to throw this in, and we want to throw it in the slot that gives a gap down the middle here, just like so. And then for the rest of the bunker building, you can wrap this around again. And we're going to place the wall in the only slot we can, which is creating a gap down here. I go ahead and flip this wall, and as long as this wall and this wall are the same grade, and this one is soft side in, and you'll have no gap down this side. And that's how I like to set mine up. And I don't think anyone's going to soft side it, and if they do, they deserve the loot. Then from there, you can open up this wall with a twig roof, and we're going to leave it like this so we can ensure that we don't mess anything up. Over here, I add an extra shelf just for drop boxes, and then we can add a roof on top of this. Really important that we don't accidentally close anything here. So we're looking to place this roof on the main base side. So this is the main base side, this is the multi-TC side. So we're making sure we place on main base, and the roof will keep the wall open. If your wall's shut, that means you connected this to the wrong section. You can see we have one more option to place this. That would be the wrong option, not on main base side, on multi-TC. So we place it like this, just like so, and then you can add a frame on here to close any gap between the wall and the roof, and you'll need to do that when the bunker's open. Sometimes it doesn't place from above, you need to go from below. You can see below is not giving me the right socket, but above is. Just try both options. Sometimes it's different. And then from there, you can add 2 triangles on the external TC side. So we have the gap towards main. So this one comes off main, these 2 off of multi-TC, and then that's done. Then from there, you can wrap around the back here. So it's going to be kind of red walls if you're trying to place it in the wrong socket again. You wrap all the way around the back, just like this. In the center here, we're just going to flip that round, so it's a nice big bump. You can add a single door here, and again, you can see that bump that's created. And we do get a better one with metal, as long as this and this are the same grade. With the right rotation, we can cover up the gaps like this, so a good bit of conditional manipulation there, just to make things nice and clean around the bunker. Then the rest of this section can just get walled in, and then we can add a wall on this, and make sure this gap here is in the middle, and this triangle is coming off of main again. So now you can drop down into your bunker. Very nice. Again, metal is going to close up those gaps even better to hide any weak spots. And then you can just wrap around the rest of this off of main base side. And that's us ready to build some open core. So everything sets up. As long as you understand conditionals and things, you'll be able to make this look nice and clean. Rotations do matter, so keep that in mind to make sure you're flipping it. Get yourself the conditional going. Next, we're going to go ahead and build the open core, and for the majority of this is 2-sided symmetrical. So we can go ahead and add a double door here with a floor on top. You can then add walls on the left and right of this loot room here, and we have to briefly take symmetry off and you can decide which side you would like the vault core loot room to face. So whichever side feels less likely to be raided from, you can go ahead and place a wall on the opposite end, have a ramp facing up towards you, and then you can pull through a triangle just like this to create a nice little vault core loot room. And then the rest of the open core is completely symmetrical, so we can raise this up, giving us some boxes underneath. Around the back here, we don't really use this for anything, but you could actually do another loot room here just off of this side if you wanted to. So we just seal all that in. And this triangle directly in front of the jump up can be used for a battery. You can throw a window in there. In the center here, we can create a nice 3-box loot room as well. And obviously all of this is fully honeycombed from the outside. So we get 2 kind of big loot rooms like this. And we can seal that off in the center. And then you can wrap the rest of this floor in with a half wall window there for a one-way into shooting floor later on. So that's how OPENCORE sets up. The boxes around here. And you could definitely add in one more loot room here down the bottom side for extra space. This one's just a little bit weaker as you come through, but it still works pretty nice. But this one's pretty optional, so it's up to you if you want to add that. And then once you've done OPENCORE, if you come back out towards your mobility chute, you can take these doors off and continue to raise this up one more time, giving ourselves a nice little one-way here to look into shooting floor. We can wrap this up on the back, then match the height here, give that a little rotate too, and we just single door out from here, sealing this whole section in nice and easy. Now you've got a little bit of height to play off of on the base, which is nice too. At this stage, there's quite a lot of honeycomb missing on the base, though we do want to raise some of this up. Honestly, down here in the middle, we could have honeycomb core a lot earlier on, so if you felt the need to do that, feel free. But we can raise that all the way up to the height that we're currently working on, just like so. Same on this side here, we've already done the honeycombing on the entrance side, but you can do this on the opposite end too. This honeycomb is going to come all the way up, nice and easy. And then above the bunker, it's just the same again. Rotating these walls in the way just to cover up any gaps, and placing our floors with a gap towards main. So all of these floors are connected to the TC over here, leaving a gap towards main TC and this section here. So all that raises up super nice. And then we can start working on some shooting floor angles. So this here is going to be our way up to roof. So you can connect that up again with the same one way. Off of this triangle here, that's going to be your jump up. So you go straight from your drop down, run across to your jump up, just like so. The little one-way angle there. And then you exit out onto roof, just like so, with a single door airlock. That stops anyone from going deep along here. Then in between on these honeycomb sections, you can actually go ahead and add in windows all the way around and frames all the way around too. These frames are coming off of Mainbase side, so you see this gap down here. Then these frames are coming off of multi-TC. And the rest of it lines up like that. And the ceilings go in just the same as below. So we have this gap down the middle here. Then the rest of this floor is just full frames. And you get that nice corridor to play off of. You can seal that in for now. And we'll get our downward angles built later on. So in order to get these downward angles going, we're going to go ahead and place another frame on this side, kind of similar to what we did here, with another frame heading up the way. And you can take that all the way to the shooting floor height level, just like this. And you can do the exact same thing off this square here. You're going to go up 2, and then you're going to wrap it in half walls. It's going to make this downward angle a little bit more protected, and the rest of these floors and frames can go in just like this. And then you can use the bottom half of this to float frames for some patricos. So I would just do that from here. And then you can add these in. If you'd rather have barrels in here along with the beds, you can make this a floor and then place barrels inside here. Or if you'd rather have the angle tighter, then go for the frame. It's up to you. But then you can set your patricos up like this. And you get a couple of beds in here too, which is super nice. And the rest of this downward area is just full walled in. Easy peasy. And the beds can go in here. And now you've got your downward angles and a couple of more sideways angles looking out this direction, which is nice too. Coming around to the bunker side as well, things get a little bit different here too. You're going to want to create a little half wall section here. And you can just float a half wall frame coming off the front here. And you're going to do the same thing on the sides too. And that is going to give you 3 Petricos all the way around this area too. And there's enough stability to hold everything up, just like this. And you can throw frames inside here with half walls on top. And all of that seals in nice and easy. Down below, we can actually raise up a couple of frames as well, just to give that some more stability. And on the right hand side, we're going to go ahead and turn one of those into a little reverse waterfall too. Over on this front side, we do get some Petricos as well. So you can start down below, raising up 2 frames into a half wall, into another frame, and 1 more. On the left side, you can just seal that in. So you turn that into a Petrico here and seal it all in. Over on the right side though, we're going to turn this into a bit of a waterfall. So it's the exact same setup here. We're raising up, but we're just leaving a frame at the top here so you can actually get out from this section. Adding in the half walls the same as that. And then just using a shelf and some nettings, we can take ourselves right up to the top here, throwing a ladder hatch half height in this section so that we can then jump up from here, just like so. So you get a little window section here, you can drop down. We get a little ankle biter on there to make sure nobody's using it. And that's how that sets up on that side. Down the front here, we do get a Petrico as well. This one's just floating though. So you raise that up, float a little half wall. Obviously this is annoying when you can't fly, but you're going to have to get all of these set up. Makes the base nice and strong, looking pretty good. And then I think we'll complete roof and then we'll do compound, because the rest of the compound stuff is not so important. We can get that down right at the end. So we'll go back on the multi-TC section here and we're going to turn this into 2 more Petricos, raising frames up, low walls to keep our heads safe, and then half wall windows in front of this with 2 roof ramps facing in the way, giving ourselves a nice crouch angle here so we can get right to the top of this ramp and look down, or we can kind of line up with taller red bases too using this, and then you can just half fold that off on the back there to give that height, and that's looking pretty cool to me. And if you add in some anti-twig too, then nobody can sit underneath this angle and kind of mess with you there. On the opposite side of your roof jump up, you can actually just turn this into a nice spot for a turret. And this is where our slightly more open turret's going to sit. So you can pull that forward so it's watching the majority of the roof. And that's on both sides, just like this. And then down the middle here, we're going to create a little bit of a bedroom section too. Setting up this whole area here on top of half walls. There we go. And then we can add windows facing out. We can match the height from here. And then we can add in this, leaving this open in the center. And I'll show you what we do there in a second. We're going to turn this into a Petrico around the back, anti-twig this as well, and then wrap it in full walls with a floor on top. Then that's where your turret's going to go inside here. And we close that off from the outside, meaning MLRS and attack helis will struggle to take that turret out. And you can turn this center part into a Petrico. And then you just have visibility windows on the left and right. And that all seals up pretty nice. Then from there, we're just going to give ourselves some outward roofs just to make taller fobs struggle to look down on us. And I would get your windmills facing in the way, so it's nice and easy to access. And some barricades to stop grubs from holding down your roof. And then that's pretty much the roof wrapped up. You got your ways up and down nice and fast. You've got some extra angles up here, a few retakes to make sure nobody's messing around, and spots to land minicopters and such. So overall, a nice little roof there. Super easy to build. And then the last thing to do would be to dust off our compound. So if you come down to your gatehouse side, we're going to throw down 1 more spot for a turret here. So you can add that in with a Petrico beside it too, keeping our heads safe with a roof ramp. And then we exit out with a single door. And you can use this to get on top of your shield wall so you can start building. On the left and right of this section, we're actually going to make some Petricos here. So you want a Petrico that's facing out, just like so. You can add a small box to stand on to make those a little bit more efficient. Just like that. And you can half wall on top of these angles too, just to keep you a little bit safer from taller fobs while you're down here. And then this is going to be a little quick exit out, and I recommend adding in a couple of shelves here just to make this jump easier for people who are not super great at jumping. And then you can just glass that off, and we half wall on the back again. and the rest of the section can just get half walled off and full walled on there. You can do the exact same thing over here, single door to exit out, window to jump in and out of, shelf to make it a little bit easier on both sides, and then this side just gets full sealed off here. And that's how we set everything up. You can get a couple of barricades in there. Make sure not to block the shield wall. And then once you've done that, that completes the base design. Hopefully you boys and girls have enjoyed this video. If you did, then please feel free to leave me a like and drop me a comment down below. Remember to check out the Patreon. There's 32 bases on there now, which is insane. And of course, come by the streams too if you want to see these bases get built live along with the snowballs. And I'll see you boys and girls in the next video. See you in a bit.